Good afternoon, everyone. As all you can see, I chose to learn the way of the sword, Kendo, for my senior project. Kendo is a modern Korean martial art derived from Japanese Kendo. What is Kendo? Kendo is a strenuous, sports-like physical activity that is originated from the Japanese martial art Kenjutsu. So maybe nobody in the audience know what Kenjutsu is. Kenjutsu is everyone know a thing or two about the ancient Japanese warriors, samurai, and their way of fighting with their sword katana. And that is a picture of samurai and the sword katana. Kendo practice was first introduced by Naganoma Kunisato around 1713. He developed the use of armor, which in Japanese is called ogu, and the training method using the bamboo sword, shinai. Eventually, as time progresses, Kendo became a sport widely practiced in modern Japan and many other nations. It is also believed the way to discipline human character throughout the application of principles of the katana. And as a child, I grew up in China. There was all kinds of martial arts filled up my childhood memory. I spent a lot of time playing with my friends, pretending we are masters of all kinds of martial arts and play with each other. And as we grow up together, we start to read comic books. And comic books were a big influence on me and my friend. And we would save up money to get more comic books to read together. And one of my favorite characters from a comic book is called Satoichi. Satoichi was a blind wanderer who loves gambling and makes his living by it. He seemed to be harmless because he's blind, but however, he was highly skilled in swordsmanship. He traveled around feudal Japan and helping others who need help. I loved Satoichi as a child and would pretend to be him during school. However, the busy school life in China did not allow me to study Kendo to be Satoichi. When it was time to pick a topic for my senior project, I would struggle to find something to do. I was thinking of sushi making or fly fishing, but nothing clicked. Until one day I was talking to my dad about my senior project. He reminded me that when I was about 10 years old, one of my neighbors was moving out and left behind a lot of styrofoam boards. And each of those boards were as big as a little kid I was back then. And I was amazed by the size of it. If you can imagine a little kid seeing this big board that's over his view. And I was just playing around it. And my grandma walked out of her house and saw my friend and I was trying to figure out how to play with these big boards. She brought out a handsaw and made a lot. There were a lot of us. She made a lot of styrofoam swords out of these boards. And for the first time, we holding these swords, we thought we had a real sized sword. And then my friend and I spent a good afternoon just fighting with these swords. And as I was talking to my dad, these memories come flash back to me. It just happened yesterday. It was during that conversation that it finally struck me that I should study swordsmanship, Kendo, for my senior project. Since I go to a dojo, which means Kendo gym in Korean, I will start to use Korean terminology from now on. And this is how it looks like in my gym. When I first found my dojo for the first time, I was so excited and ready to go there and learn everything I could about Kendo. And when I paid my first visit, I was overwhelmed and shocked by the fact that I was just going to be part of this culture of swordsmanship. In a way, it was a great dream coming true. And when my master handed over my uniform, as I will pronounce it in Korean, Dobo, the excitement I experienced was indescribable. I was shaking as I was getting the uniform and wouldn't stop talking. Then I started my training, and of course, like anything else in the world, the beginning of my training was very hard. One of the challenges was the experience of hardening my feet. Why? Because one of the most important parts of Kendo was everyone has to be barefooted in the Kendo period. And as one of the most important fundamentals of Kendo, footwork requires a lot of training and practice. Basically, whenever I move, my feet should be touching the floor. And so sliding my feet was one of the most important practice as a beginner I did. The more complex the footwork became, the bigger calluses were on my feet. It was no fun. Although the sword muscle from swinging sword was a great challenge, but it was nothing compared with the pain in my feet. At times, I didn't even realize that they were even bleeding. However, I believe it was the key part of disciplining my character. I took this pain, I kept on practicing, and now I got better at it. In a Kendo match, one should only hit his or her opponent's head, in Korean, moli, wrist, sumo, or waist, oi. As one's skill advances, he can also hit the opponent's throat. And obviously, all these parts are being protected by body armors. And here's the picture of Kendo armors and the bamboo swords. In Korean, it's called judo. One should only, and here's my judo. And one should only hit his opponents with the top 1/4 of his judo. And in a real match, a confirmed good hit is being hit as using this part of the judo. The rest of the sword is counted as nothing. Therefore, it opens a lot of opportunity for people who has different body size. Because a bigger person like I am, I too, can reach farther and hit the opponents from farther away. However, as the shorter person advances, he will enter this range, and I was not able to hit him anymore. So in a way, it's really an equal match, no matter what the body size you are. And the other important part of Kendo is called Kia, which appears to be an intimidation to your opponents through yelling, and also a way to bring more energy to a strike as you yell during your strike. And now I would like to demonstrate some of the practice routine and sparring match with my master. We're going to have the practice routine first. So can we please have this up? And the first practice routine, is that loud enough?
Yes.
The first practice routine is called Yunga. It is a basic and fundamental but useful practice that contains all the fundamental moves in Kendo. Yunga. Yunga. That is the basic fundamental of Now, it's the three fundamental bits of Moli, the head, Sumo, the wrist, and Holy, the waist. Now it's a combination of sumo. And now we'll have the sparring match for 4 minutes. It's the expectation that I will be annihilated.
Yeah, Meadow.
Questions? Question?
When you get hit, with, even with the armor on, like, does it still hurt? Or no?
When it's a mole, which means it hits you in the head, it definitely hurts. And then kind of, it's like my ear's still raining. Yeah, but rest of the body parts, it doesn't really. Well, yeah.
How much does all of that weigh?
And actually, surprisingly, I don't know the specific number, but it's not a lot. Do you know how much that for me?
It varies.
Yeah, it varies.
It doesn't feel heavy.
It's not very heavy, yes. No. Yeah, the Kia, as I was saying, it's first it's when you yell really loud without even move yet. That intimidate your opponents. You know, other guys will, you know, and that I think that second of hesitation, you can strike. I can strike, or I can just do whatever I want. And also, by yelling out, you release your inner energy and brings more speed into the swing, more power. Yeah. Here, this.
How close are you to becoming a master?
Oh, very far. As far as we, I don't know. I'm wearing this uniform. I'm not really an expert for what level of people are, but as you can see, this uniform is black pants with white top. It's for very beginners, and I don't know what he is, but I think as for me, if you're wearing pure black, doesn't mean yeah. So he's very good at it. Okay, one more question. That.
What was the score if there was a score?
I don't know, like 52-2. It's scored if you hit your opponent with the top 1/4 of this sword. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, Billy, if there's some kind of ethic of fighting or philosophy behind the martial art that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I believe so. You know, the very first time I went to my gym, Mr. Ming was telling me during this sparring, no matter who wins, it's not like the idea is not I win you, I'm the best. it's a respect towards each other. Even though I get beat up really bad, that's during this match. It's nothing else. If he beat me, he has the skill. I should respect the skill of this person. So yeah. And first of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Davis for helping me with my speech, and Mr. Deutsch, if you're here, for letting me go to the gym after school. And thank you for the Olsons who I live with, gave me the support. And thank you for Skip and Lucas, who gave me rides every so often, no matter how bad the road condition is. And most of all, I'd like to thank Master Main. Thank you very much for my training.
Pleasure.